Good morning, Gloria Brooks, founder of Nature Glows eScience here. So today, for our outdoor challenge, we're going to be looking for polygons and polyhedron in nature. So let's define polygons first of all. So polygons are two-dimensional or flat with length and width shapes such as, what you learned in kindergarten, triangles, squares, rectangles, pentagons, hexagons. So we'll be looking for those. Now, nature does favor curves and a unique branching pattern called fractals. So finding straight lines in nature can be a challenge. So that's why this is an outdoor challenge today. And also it connects regular K through 12 academics with nature. So we're going to get outdoors and look for these mathematics, these patterns, these shapes. And also polyhedron, which are 3D or solids that are made up of straight edges. So no curves in this study today, although we'll see a lot of curves because nature's filled with those. So polyhedron again. Poly means many-sided or many-seated, right? So these are solids such as cubes, boxes, prismatic rectangles or rectangular prisms, and also pentagons and hexagons can be polyhedron as well. Now polyhedra is singular, polyhedron is, did I reverse that? Okay, polyhedra is plural, polyhedron is one solid or singular. So let's look for these shapes in nature, and this will be unique. Here we go. And I also wanted to add prisms. So prisms are a synonymous or a synonym to polyhedra or polyhedron, and we'll be looking for polyhedron or prisms. So here we go. Now let's use our imagination. Here we come to a pine cone. What I'd like for you to do is take your finger and draw a polygon. So it has to have straight lines, at least 3 straight lines. So you could draw a triangle around it or a rectangle. So which of those two shapes best encloses this pine cone with the least amount of space between the straight edges of the polygon and the pine cone? So go ahead and do that. Okay, and I'll go ahead and try this activity. Whoops. No, not power off. Okay, so I would draw the triangle around it. You can also put it inside of a rectangle, but I would say that the triangle works the best. Here we have an example of straight lines. No polygons or polyhedra. This would be considered a cylinder, albeit not a perfect cylinder. I'm looking at this one here. I'm just amazed at the beautiful patterns and the rusty brown with the tan. Really pretty. So here we have a group of needles that are attached right here. There's the point. So go ahead and draw the best polygon that would enclose this with as little space between the set of pine needles and the polygon. This one's pretty easy. So, and then I'll demonstrate here. Okay, so I would draw a triangle, definitely. And also, let's think of the solid, the polygon, the triangular prism. This you'd have to more or less, let's bring it up. So just imagine the solid that you would put that in. So I would say a triangular prism. And I can only draw 2D, not 3D. Well, I suppose I could, but I'm holding the camera, I'm kind of coordinating a lot, so, but go ahead and you can draw a triangular prism around that, or prism, or 3D pyramid. So let's talk about prisms. So a prism is actually a polyhedron, and this is an unprism, non-prism, because it has curves. But if we could imagine filling in the spaces for this to be a rectangular prism, it would be long and skinny. It would have both ends, this end and this end would both be squares. Okay, and just use your imagination, fill those gaps and spaces in. Imagine them having a square base on this end and the same exact size square base on this end. And then we would have perfectly straight lines on all four sides here. Okay, so that would be an example of a rectangular prism. And actually all of the polygonal, or the polygonal faces would be the same. They would all be the same size to each other. All right, so now we're going to incorporate some art. So I just cleared the forest floor here so that you can see what I'm doing. There's a famous artist called Andy Goldsworthy, and he takes objects only from nature, such as these pine needles, and he creates beautiful works of art. So I'm going to start and create some polygons. So the simplest polygon is this figure. Okay, go ahead and say out loud what that is. Right, it's a triangle. So nature's, you know, it's curves. It's got a little bit of curve here. It's not perfect, but you get the idea. So you can be artistic and go ahead and add more needles and create works of art. Let's see what else I can create here without holding this phone. Okay, so here's what I've created so far. And this is an equilateral triangle, so all the sides are equal to each other. All right, and it's not perfect. Not all the pine needles are the same length, and yada yada. So we're in artistic mode, and we're taking artistic liberty. Notice the flies that are starting to drive us crazy as the sun's coming up this morning. We'll ignore them. All right, I invite you to go outside and use whatever you have in your backyard to create some geometric art. All right, here we have a tall pine tree. So you can just take your finger and draw a polygon around it. And again, let's pick a shorter tree. How about this one right here? So with my finger, I just trace this long triangle around it. That would be the best polygon to draw around it. And of course, you can experiment with other shapes, like a square. It would only fit, you know, perfect square. It would only fit like the tip. If we did the rectangle, it would go all the way down and up. All right, so now I've found this stone. So what polygon could be drawn around that? So it almost has four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be like a parallelogram that could fit around that. And of course the stone isn't perfect. It's asymmetrical or not symmetrical. Almost shaped like a diamond. So I'll add that to my artwork there. Or a rhombus, actually, is what I meant to say. There we go. All right, so now I have my notebook, my mechanical pencil, and some colored pencils. And I'm sitting right in front, or rather behind, my shapes here, so I'm going to make some sketches of this in my notebook. Alright, so we'll start with today's date, which is 9/16/18. Location, glass, and we're here at Mammoth Lakes. Alright, so I'll go ahead and begin with my sketch. So I'm just kind of sketching the pine needles here, how they look on the ground, and a rough sketch of my stone. Okay, and then I'm going to draw the diamond shape around the stone. Okay, and then you can add some color. I'll do that next. Okay, so those are the pine needles. Okay, so there's my completed journal page, and I'll go ahead and read it. I know my handwriting. I used to try to write in calligraphy. Alright, so let me read this too. Starting at the top, we have equilateral triangle made of needles. I shaded in the rock and drew the rhombus around it. Here we have the needle bunch. Notice the tip right here. I drew in that detail because that's what holds the bunch of pine needles together. I know it has a scientific name. I'll look it up. I found this pine needle bunch on the forest floor. It was in a bunch with around 80 to 100 needles in groups of twos. You can actually count the needle bunches by twos. So I've also incorporated mathematics. So you want to look at the mathematical attributes related to your natural objects that you find and create original works of art like Andy Goldsworthy. I'm Gloria Brooks, founder of Nature Glow's eScience. Thank you so much for joining me for this math art nature connection. Go ahead and get outdoors and find your natural objects in your backyard, front yard, side yard. Bring your journal, a pencil with a good eraser and some colored pencils. Find some natural objects, create some polygons, and make sketches in your journal, and share a link to your work in the comments below if you so choose. I'd love to see it. Thank you for watching. Signing off. See you next video. Bye-bye. Look, it's a Charlie Brown tree. How about that?